Hey guys, thank you for tuning into my channel. Let's get ready for the NFL divisional round playoffs. But before we get started, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button for me and hit the like button, okay, if you appreciate what I'm doing for you guys, okay? And leave your commentary below. It's very important I get some feedback from you guys. Anyway, let's get started, okay? We kind of took a couple of bad losses this past weekend. We're here to make money, and I'm doing everything I can to give you guys the edge. Unfortunately, sometimes it never works out that way, right? Sometimes Vegas finds, like, let's say the Rams. Well, overwhelmingly, all the money went to the Rams last weekend in covering the spread as well as winning. Well, we did well with the money line, but we did horrible with the spread. That was a very big disappointing to a lot of people out there. But as they always say to sports bettors out there, right? When the money rolls too much to one team, what happens? Vegas tries to even it out, right? They'll lower the point spread a little bit, or maybe they'll heighten the point spread so the money could roll the other way. They couldn't get that done. It stayed at 9.5 minus 9.5 the entire week. And what happened? The Panthers hung in there. So if you took the Panthers plus and you took the Rams to win, you were a winner. Same can be said for the Packers and Bears. When you got two teams that are evenly matched up, what happens? Money rolls both ways, to the Packers, to the Bears. What did you get out of it? You got a solid game, right? You ended up getting a game where the Packers looked like they were going to pull away. That missed extra point. What happens? The Bears came back, made it a game, caught up to the Packers, and eventually won the game. But the money was evened out. Then we went into Sunday's game. We all knew Buffalo had the experience. So anyone that money lined the Bills like we did and also took the spread to cover, you were a winner. If you took the Jaguars, I feel sorry for you. I told you from the beginning that Trevor Lawrence just wasn't that guy, and it certainly proved that. But then later on, we had the 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and yet again, just like the Green Bay and Chicago game, the Eagles scored a touchdown. They failed on the extra point, which proved crucial towards the end of the game. They were in field goal range. They could have gotten that field goal to go into overtime or whatnot. Instead, they ended up losing to an injury-riddled 49ers team who continue to pull rabbits out of their hats. And let me tell you something. If I had to pick right now Coach of the Year, it's definitely Kyle Shanahan. I don't know how he's doing it. I mean, him and Ben Johnson are close to, and McDaniel from Seattle, they're very close in Coach of the Year. But I think I have to give it to Kyle Shanahan. I don't know how he's doing it. This whole season, injury-riddled football team, and they're one game away from the championship. I might roll with them this weekend. But again, that missed extra point came into play towards the end of the game. And unfortunately, the Eagles and the big mouth A.J. Brown, hey, I want the football, never got it done. And therefore, they're going home. We're going to have a new champion this year. Unfortunately for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3.5 quarters, they hung in there, 7-6 against one of the toughest defenses in the league, but their offense never showed up. They get thrown out of the playoffs, and the Los Angeles Chargers, yet again, the offense did not show up. The defense came to play, but the Patriots managed to play better defense and hold the Chargers out of the end zone. They move on. So let's get ready for this weekend's games. Let's start off with the Buffalo Bills at the Denver Broncos. Guys, I got to tell you right now, I'm going to moneyline the Buffalo Bills. They're the favorites. Vegas made them the favorites, which is funny because as a sports bettor or an amateur sports bettor or professional, you know that Vegas is trying to even out the money. No matter what, Vegas is going to win in this matchup. But I want you guys to win. I found the edges. Definitely all the edges are pointing that the Buffalo Bills are going to win this football game. Despite a good defensive unit by the Denver Broncos, I just think Bo Nix is not ready to take that next step. But he can hurt you just as well. He's multi-talented with his legs as well as with his arm. But he's been inconsistent this year with his arm. Both teams are talented at the skill positions. Defensively, Denver does have that edge. But I just think the Buffalo Bills with Superman, yes, Josh Allen is Superman until they find that kryptonite. That's when you're going to beat Josh Allen. Could it be Denver this weekend? Well, the spread is at -1.5. Vegas felt that they were going to roll with Buffalo. Guess what? I'm rolling with Buffalo too. I like the Buffalo Bills. Let's money line them. I told you I don't like to do overs and unders in the playoffs. I think you could throw that out the window when it comes to the playoffs because games are going to be played differently. But if I had to choose one, and if I want to help a sports bettor out there, I'm taking the over of 46.5. I think there'll be some scoring in this game. I think Buffalo will do everything they can to get up on Denver, and then it's going to be up to Denver to catch up to them. That's how I think the game's going to play out. And in the end, at -1.5 with the spread. So money line the Bills, take the over 46.5, and take the -1.5. Let's move on to the next game. Guys, we have the San Francisco 49ers. This football team amazes me throughout the year. And I've been such a downer to 49ers fans as well as 49ers by picking against them. And you know what? That seems to be the good luck charm for the 49ers because every time I pick against them, they find a way to win. And that's a tribute to their head coach, Kyle Shanahan. I really believe he has the edge over the coach from the Seattle Seahawks. I really believe he has the edge there. But that injury to George Kittle really hurts my chances of really being positively sure to take the 49ers over yet another good defensive team. The Seattle Seahawks, they went up to San Francisco a couple of weekends ago, dominated the San Francisco 49ers, took the division. They took that number one seed. 49ers had a chance to stay home throughout the playoffs, including the Super Bowl. They lost that opportunity. I think the Seahawks are going to do it again. I'm going to moneyline the Seahawks. I'm going to take the under of 45.5. I think there's going to be scoring, but maybe coming from the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but if it does turn out that way, it could be because Kyle Shanahan is such a genius with what to do with that offense. But I think the Seahawks will pull this one out. I'm going to take that -7 too. I think they'll win by a touchdown. I mean, it's a rivalry. And it could stay close. You know why? Guess who's the quarterback for Seattle? People are forgetting. It's Sam Darnold. He did get his football team into the playoffs just like last season, won 14 games during the season, and then come playoff time, the old Sam Darnold returns. I believe that the only way the 49ers will win if the old Sam Darnold returns. But if Sam Darnold's on top of his game, then I expect the Seahawks to win. I'm moneylining the Seahawks. I'm going to take the under 45.5, and I'm going to take that -7. I think the Seahawks should win by 7. If not, guys, if you feel comfortable taking a +7, the underdog with the 49ers, go right ahead. This is one of those games where I think the quarterback play of Sam Darnold could determine if whether or not the 49ers continue moving on. Remember I said that. That spread is high, right? It's a rivalry game. But what made the spread high was the fact that George Kittle got hurt. When you deplete the middle of the field against a solid defense like the Seattle Seahawks, yeah, that line's going to go high. And I think Vegas is trying to even out yet again. Be careful with this game. If I could stay away from the spread, I would just go with the team you think it's going to win. But again, it all depends on the play of Sam Darnold. Let's go to that third game. We got the Rams. Okay, here come the Rams. I'm saying to myself right now, I'm like, geez, the Rams going up to Chicago I believe this is the late game Sunday. Now, I love what Caleb Williams has been doing recently. It seems like he's finally getting the Ben Johnson offense. I love their running game with DeAndre Swift, Kyle Manage. I love that Rome Odunze is back. DJ Moore's playing better. I also love what Luther Burden brings to the team. And Colston Loveland looks like the number one draft pick when he came out. But they're injury riddled. We saw a couple of key injuries. I believe one of their offensive linemen will be out. I believe one of their linebackers is out. The Rams, I said it from the beginning in the preseason. I felt like it was going to be the Rams and Buffalo in the Super Bowl. It's certainly looking like it for me anyway. I'm moneylining the Rams. I just think that Matt Stafford's the experienced guy. You got Puka Nacua. You got Devontae Williams. You got a plethora of wide receivers and tight ends. Tutu Atwell, Kobe Parkinson, Terrence Ferguson. You got guys like that could, when they get the ball, Matthew Stafford is going to deliver that football to them. I think all those weapons against the Chicago secondary is just an advantage for the Rams. The only way I see the Bears winning this game is if Caleb Williams continues to play the way he does and continues to get that offense into the end zone. But if you saw that Green Bay game carefully, man, he was really making mistakes throughout that game and really got away with the fact that the Packers defense was the letdown in that game. But yes, Caleb Williams made some fantastic throws. He even made one throw that was incredible, where he was off balance, threw it downfield, and the kid came up with the catch. That was an incredible play. It's going to take that type of play again to beat the Rams. I'm not saying that the Rams are overwhelmingly the team that's going to win this game, but what I am saying is the Rams haven't been playing solid defense as of late. But I'm still taking the Rams. I just think the Rams are the much better team, the more experienced team anyway. Moneyline the Rams, people. Take the over of 50.5. There's going to be scoring in this game. Could be one of those 28-23, 28-24, 31-24 type of football games, okay? And I'm going to stick with the plus 3.5 because I believe the underdog Chicago Bears will hang in there. It's so funny because, you got the Rams being favored here, right? And remember, I'll show you on the whiteboard which teams are favored. I think everybody I'm picking right now is the favorite throughout the playoffs. But the Rams, I just feel like you can money line them. You could take the over 50.5 because they will be scoring. I think both these teams will be scoring, but I got to take that plus 3.5 for the Bears. I think they'll hang in there late. And I think just the Rams will begin to pull out somewhere with like 5 minutes left in the game. All right. Again, I'm giving you this edge for free, guys, right? I want you guys to beat the sports books, your local sports books, and your sports apps. Okay. I do a lot of the homework. I give you guys the edge for free. Okay. Now, I know things didn't work out last weekend the way they should have, but some of those games should have really worked out in our favor. And unfortunately, towards the end, those extra points, and that's what scares me this weekend. Which field goal kicker is going to pull out victory from defeat? You know what I'm saying? So, this is why it's very important to pay attention to everything I'm telling you. Okay, this is the game that could go either way for me, right? However, the one edge I see is the fact that it's a home game for the New England Patriots. You got the Houston Texans coming off a very impressive defensive victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not that the Steelers had a great offense, but they weren't that bad to not get points. And the Houston Texans just kept the Steelers out of the end zone. Was it bad play calling by the Steelers, or just the fact that the Texans have that number one defense heading and traveling with them? You know what the old saying is, right? Travel with your defense and your special teams and just get a couple of points and you win the football game. Well, I feel like they're going to do a little bit of that. I think the Texans, just like the Chargers last week, Patriots were struggling, guys. It wasn't like it was an overwhelmingly victory for the Patriots. They struggled. Drake May is playing great. Okay, I'll give him that. Made a couple of mistakes in that game, but he's playing well. Okay, they do have weapons, especially at the running back position. I feel Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson are going to have to get this victory for the Patriots. I feel they're going to have to rely on them. If they got to throw the ball around, guys, this could be a problem with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, the edge rushers for the Houston Texans, caving in on Drake May. They do have speed in that secondary as well as speed at the linebacking unit. Okay, but I'm still going to money line the Patriots because the edge is at home. I'm going to take the over 43.5. I think they'll be scoring here. And I'm going to take that minus 1.5, obviously, because the Patriots to win, they're going to probably win by a field goal. But that's about it. I don't feel confident about that New England offense, though. I really don't. I don't know why. Because I feel like the New England offense has been doing well. I feel that they do enough to win the games, but that Patriots defense, there are flaws there, but they're very good in the secondary with Christian Gonzalez, right? They also have a great special teams unit, Mark Jones. So be careful. Maybe a special team return, like a punt return, kick return from Mike Jones, right? Marcus Jones, I should say, might make the difference. As far as the Texans offense, I feel like they could get some points on the Patriots. I think this is one of those games where they're not going to struggle like they did against Pittsburgh. I think the Pittsburgh defense is a whole lot better than New England Patriots defense. And I know people out there are going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do. Because like I said, I study these games. I know these games. I've been in. And listen, I play the game. I know what type of schemes go up against type of offenses. And I feel that the Houston Texans offense was not geared against the Pittsburgh. I felt going into that game, the Steelers defense was just much better than people thought. And it showed for 3.5 quarters, guys. That Texans offense struggled, but they did run the ball well. And I feel they're going to have to do it against the Patriots. And when they do have to throw, not sure if Nico Collins is going to play. I believe he suffered a concussion or some type of injury to his legs, whatever it was. He has to be healthy. Christian Kirk did step up. Both these teams, I believe this game is evened out. I really do. But that Texans defense is going to be tough. If they could play like that against New England, they'll win. I feel like C.J. Stroud could get something done against New England. But, again, the game's at New England. Mike Vrabel has a very disciplined type of football team. I think they win this game. They money line it. Money line the Patriots. Take the over and unders of over 43.5 and do that -1.5 as well. Guys, that's my prediction for this weekend. I'm going to show you the whiteboard now, and then you guys could copy whatever's on that whiteboard. Guys, I'm confident. All right, just like I was last week, and unfortunately, those two games between the Packers, Bears, 49ers, Eagles, that really ruined my weekend. Those were bad beats for me, and unfortunately, you guys took a bad beat. But I am money, and I'm trying to tell you guys, please, please pay attention to the way Vegas, right, is playing all this. You got even money in the Bills and Broncos game. You got pretty much even money going around throughout this divisional round. Okay. I think you're going to be good with whoever you pick as a money line as well as the spread. Like I said, I'm staying away from the over and unders. I just don't give two craps about that. I really don't. I think over and unders, it's just that the playoffs play out differently, right? You just know it, right? But I'm giving you this edge for free, guys. So listen, you have to be a smart bettor. All right. If you're going to go with the money line picks, the Bills, Seahawks, Rams, and Patriots are all favored this weekend. I know every now and then you get an underdog that pulls the upset. If I had to pick an underdog this weekend to pull the upset, it would be the Houston Texans over the New England Patriots, if I had to pick one. Now, if I had to pick another game, could be the Rams and Bears. I haven't been confident with the way the Rams are playing on defense. But what hurts the Bears is they lost a couple of guys in that defense. So, guys, I'm going to pause the tape. I'm going to show you the whiteboard, and then we'll talk a little bit more after. Hold on 1 second. All right, guys. I don't know if you can see the entire board. I'm going to show you what looks like the first three on the board. You can see what I posted up there for the money line, the over and unders, and the spread. I'm going to raise it up a bit. Let me just make sure that there we go. I think you guys can see all of them now, right? Can you? Okay. I'm pretty sure you guys can see what I wrote down. All right, guys. That's how it looks for this weekend. I'm hoping you guys write it all down and run to your local sports books or on your sports apps and start parlaying some of these games, or if you want to go straight bet, or you want to go straight parlays, straight bets on the props, I mean. All right? All right, guys. Let me pause it again, and let's continue to talk about this. All right, you saw my whiteboard, right? You saw me speak about straight bets. That would be like player props. Guys this weekend that I think are going to be very interesting would be like a guy like Josh Allen. Look for maybe a touchdown from him. Maybe a rushing touchdown that could really bring up your parlay more money, right? He'll be on the plus side for a rushing touchdown, maybe. James Cook, he's always good to get in the end zone. Guys like that, right? Player props, alternate receiving and rushing yards for James Cook. I always put him at 100 plus with a touchdown. Excuse me, you just never know. With the Denver Broncos, look for R.J. Harvey, obviously, right? Look for maybe Cortland Sutton, okay, maybe Troy Franklin, guys like that. Bo Nix, he's good with his legs. He could run for 20 yards a game. He could also throw for 200 plus, maybe a touchdown, right? Look for that. Seahawks, right, Sam Darnold in a game against the 49ers could be throwing for 200 yards, could be less because that 49ers defense does play well. Look for Jackson Smith and Njigba, right? Look for him to do some work on a wide receiving unit. You could take him for 90 yards if you want. Maybe a touchdown this weekend, right? He seems to scorch the 49ers defense pretty good. AJ Barn is a guy I like. Zach Charbonnet's been money in the bank this past season. I look for this guy. And also, Kenneth Walker's been doing very well rushing, maybe 50 plus yards in his game. As far as the 49ers offense, wow, what player prop I'm going to take? Obviously, Brock Purdy. I think he'll be throwing the ball around more this weekend, but obviously Christian McCaffrey, right? He's your money in the bank this weekend. Whatever happens with player props, that's the one guy you always got to take. Just like the Buffalo Bills, James Cook, you always got to take Christian McCaffrey. So in the Rams and Bears, wow, Puka Nacua is always the guy you want to take. 100 plus receiving yards, maybe 7 catches plus. Devontae Adams, you could take him for 50 plus yards, maybe 4 catches. Look for touchdowns from Puka, maybe Kyron Williams, Blake Corum. Matthew Stafford's always good for 250, okay, and 2 touchdowns a game. All right, Caleb Williams, you could put him down, start to put him down for something like that. If he falls behind, you might see Caleb Williams throwing that ball around more. Look for 225 or 237 over that, maybe a touchdown or 2. Look for DeAndre Swift for alternate receiving and rushing yards for 50 plus, as well as Kyle Monange for maybe 30 plus rushing yards, maybe a touchdown, right? Colston Loveland's been doing very well with those player props, maybe 5 plus catches, 80 plus yards, maybe. I know it seems high, but what I'm saying is there are some trends that are starting to happen in front of me that I'm starting to realize maybe I got to look closer to those player props, right? And then in the New England and Houston Texans game, this is where I'll tell you, I may not like taking any player props in this game, but if I had to, look for the running game, like Woody Marks. For if the Houston Texans are going to win and you feel they're going to win, you money line the Texans, maybe take a player prop of Woody Marks, right, for rushing like 70, 80 yards. I know he came off a big game against the Steelers. Don't know how the Patriots are going to play him, but you could take him for 70 plus yards, maybe a touchdown in this game, right? Nico Collins was hurt in that game. Not sure if he's going to be healthy enough to get the yardage you need. CJ Stroud looks like a guy that could throw for 200 plus yards, maybe get you a touchdown. Christian Kirk, surprisingly had over 100 yards. Maybe you could take him for like 50 plus yards. I don't know if Christian Gonzalez is going to match up on him, but you also got Hutchinson and Higgins on that offensive side of the football, and Nick Chubb as well. As far as the New England Patriots offense, Drake May, you can always take him for alternate rushing and passing. There's always a prop bet like that. You could put it down like maybe 225 plus, maybe 250. Okay, he's been that type of player and MVP this year for the New England Patriots. Maybe throw for a touchdown or 2, right? Same thing you could do with CJ Stroud in that category, right? And then Ramondre Stevenson, Trevion Henderson, I think both will be over the 50 plus. If they win this game, those 2 guys are going to be the main reason why. Hunter Henry, maybe 4 catches, maybe 40 plus yards, maybe even a touchdown. The one guy that I would say look for, and he's going to be big money, would be a guy like Mac Hollins, right? The wide receiver for the New England Patriots. He was very quiet this past weekend against the Chargers. He could be that secret weapon that the Texans are going to forget about in this game. Watch for Mac Hollins probably to have a big game, along with maybe Austin Hooper. When you're matched up against a number 1 defense like this, you got to look for the other guys that really they didn't prepare too much for. I'm not saying that the Texans don't cover their ground, because I'm sure they do. But when you need those special players to rise up, guys like Austin Hooper, guys like Mac Hollins, maybe Kyle Williams, guys like that. So watch for that. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for this weekend's NFL divisional round playoffs. I give you this edge for free, guys. You guys need to run to your local sports books at the local casinos of your choice, or go on your sports app and enjoy these games and make the right bets. All right. I give you this edge for free, guys. I'm not asking you to send me money or anything. I'm just as good as any other YouTube channel that provides the same type of predictions. All right. Listen, no one's going to be 100%. No one. But if you're the one guy out there that watched my video, took notes, and maybe came away victorious, which I hope I will this weekend, and could leave me a comment and say, hey, you were money, I would love that. Again, there's not sports bettors or amateur sports bettors professionals or amateurs, I should say, that are actually going out there and winning every week. Everybody's taking a bad beat almost every week, and the games have been kind of funny and strange this season. We're seeing a lot of extra points being missed, and it played into that Bears and Packers game. It played into the Eagles and 49ers game. It's stuff like that that makes me think, is this game going to come down for that? Is this game going to be a missed extra point differential? Guys, I'm giving you this edge for free. What I'm looking at are really evenly matched up football games this weekend. It's going to be tough. The money's going to be evened out. I don't think Vegas is going to play too much funny business, but all the games that I showed you, you saw the asterisk saying that those are the favorites for each game. So, guys, let's get it this weekend. And if you do get it, please get back to me with your comments. I love to hear that you guys are successful, okay? Because that's what I like to do for you guys. Give you the edge for free for you guys to succeed. Bet small to win big, or bet however you want to win big. The point is, I'm trying to give you all of this for nothing. I'm winning on player props, but last weekend I took some bad beats with the Packers, okay, and with the Eagles. But we have to do better, and I'm trying to give you that edge. I do make some decent player props out there, or I try to put them out there for you guys. But guys, let's go out there. Let's beat those local casinos and sports books and your sports apps. Guys, give a shout out to Casino Pete by hitting my like and subscribe button on for my YouTube channel. And please give me a like. And also, I need feedback from you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. Much love to everybody that tunes in every weekend to me. And let's continue to do well. Let's get that money, guys. I always say bet small to win big. I think you guys are going to do very well this weekend. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next week for the championship round.